What's up, YouTube? Thomas L here. With the new Ted Bundy film, Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile, premiere on Netflix this week, and with a couple of Charles Manson movies like Charles Says coming out next week, and the new Quentin Tarantino film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood opening this summer, I decided to do my top 10 favorite true story movies about famed serial killers. Now, there's been some pretty interesting ones that's, of course, based on serial killers over the years, and also, that being said, here's my 10 favorite. Alright, coming in at number 10 is the movie Chapter 27. Now, this is, of course, the movie about John Lennon's killer, Mark David Chapman, and he was amazingly portrayed by Jared Leto. I gotta say, I think this is Mark David Chapman is probably Jared Leto's best performance. He really embodied the role of Chapman. Now, of course, Mark David Chapman only just killed one person, and that was John Lennon, but he's still technically a killer, so that's why Chapter 27 is on this list. But and also, I just really like this movie. It's a really interesting look at David Chapman. It really goes on who he was before he went and shot Lennon. And like I said, Jared Leto, he played this role really well. And also the one who plays John Lennon, I thought he was pretty good. You also had Lindsay Lohan in this. Some pretty good cast members. And it was a really nice little film. I mean, it was a little slow at times, I admit, but the performances is really the best in this film, man. If you guys never had a chance to check out Chapter 27 yet, I say give it a go. I think you'll enjoy it. And I think this probably should have been Jared Leto's first Oscar nomination before he won his for Dallas Buyers Club. Because, yeah, I mean, when Jared Leto goes into a role, he really goes into it. I mean, whether whether it's a Dallas Buyers Club or Joker or anything like that. I mean, and him as Mark David Chapman, I thought that was perfect casting, and he was really great as that role. All right, coming in at number 9 is My Friend Dahmer. Now, this is of course a movie about a young Jeffrey Dahmer and who Jeffrey Dahmer was like before he became the notorious serial killer, and it pretty much goes inside of Dahmer's like life in high school. Like back in his high school days, he was like a shy high schooler. He was dealing with a abusive father. He had some friends in this, and anyway, and the actor who plays the role of young Jeffrey Dahmer. The actor's name is Ross Lynch, who you might know from Austin and Ally and Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. He was terrific as Jeffrey Dahmer. I mean, I thought he probably gave one of the best performances I've seen out of him. And also, you had Alex Wolff was in this. Some pretty good cast members. And Hayes was also in this movie. Really good little film. Shame that it didn't really get much talk about when it got released, but it's a really interesting film. And it's also based on a graphic novel. So, yeah, this is actually based on a comic, so that's also pretty cool. Yeah, but if you guys never had a chance to check out My Friend Dahmer, if it's on Netflix or if it's on TV or whatever, I say give it a go. I think you'll probably appreciate My Friend Dahmer. All right. Coming in at number 8 is BTK, which is of course based on the real life serial killer named Dennis L. Rader, who was a murderer who tortured and killed his victim for over 2 decades while evading the police for over 30 years. The actor who plays the BTK killer was Kane Hodder, who of course played Jason Voorhees, and he played Victor Crowley. I love Kane Hodder. He's probably one of my favorite horror actors. I thought he gave a really great performance as a BTK. He really embodied that role, and this movie was pretty intense to watch, to be honest, yeah. Because the BTK killer was, oh my god, he he did some really gruesome murders, and yeah, and I thought the story was pretty decent, and like I said, Kane Hodder, I think he gave a really great performance as Zero, and yeah, it's pretty cool to see him act play a serial killer where he's not in makeup or in a mask or anything, because he was really great as a BTK killer. Coming in at number 7 is Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. Now, this film stars Michael Rooker way before he played Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy. Here he, of course, played famed serial killer Henry Lee Lucas, who was released from prison following his mother's murder. And so he's supplements his job as a exterminator with a series of violent murders. And so and fellow jailbird and drug dealer Otis, played by Tom Toles, becomes a willing accomplice in Henry's bloody killings. And I mean, Henry Lee Lucas, he was a really sicko. He really tortured and killed lots of people, and I think it's probably maybe my second favorite Michael Rooker film, like role I should say, like right behind Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy. Michael Rooker, I think it's probably one of the best performances he's given. To be honest with you, he played that role really well, and the other cast is pretty good. Yeah, this like the title suggests, it's a portrait of a famed serial killer, and Michael Rooker he nailed it as the role of Henry Lee Lucas. Coming in at number 6 is a movie called Kala. Now, the character of Kala Homoloka and Paul Bernardo, who were, I guess you could say, like a dark version of Barbie and Ken. I mean, of course, they end up getting married one point, but things, of course, takes a really crazy turn when Paul Bernardo pretty much actually pretty much murdered lots of people and also raped and murdered Carla's sister, but guess Carla didn't knew anything about it, and they of course were accomplices as serial killers as well, and they were sickos. I mean, this is seriously a movie I probably can't watch over and over, to be honest with you, because this couple is one of the most. I mean, Bonnie and Clyde were even this sick. I mean, these people were menacing. Like, yeah, they definitely weren't great folks. Like, and also the two people who plays the role is the one who plays a Call in this is Laura Prepon, who you might know from That 70s Show and Orange is the New Black. And the one who plays Paul Bernardo is Misha Collins, who you might know from Supernatural fame. I thought they were pretty good as the roles of Carla and Paul. They played them really well. Like, they were really creepy as the roles. I mean, of course, if you get cast as the roles, you gotta be creepy because they were some of the most not so well people there were, and I believe Carla is still in jail. I know, yeah, definitely these two were real sickos, and the movie, I think lots of people think that this movie glorified them. I don't think it glorified them, but I still thought it was a pretty decent film, and both Laura and Misha, I thought they gave really great performance here. I mean, if you guys never had a chance to check out Kala, be warned, there are some intense moments in this movie, and yeah, this is not a movie that lots of people. This is not really a movie for everyone, to be honest with you, because there are some really not so great moments in this movie. But yeah, if you guys haven't checked out Kala yet, I think give it a go. Like I said, it's pretty intense to watch at times. I mean, I've seen this movie probably only 2 times, or maybe 3 times, and that's probably it. It's a really hard watch, but it's still a pretty good film, though. All right, coming in at number 5 is Gacy. Now John Wayne Gacy was even sick. Now, this is of course based on the real life serial killer of John Wayne Gacy, who was played by Mark Holton from Leprechaun fame. And although Gacy is like a family man and a respected a businessman, business owner, and even entertains local as a clown, he had a really not so great childhood because he had like an abusive father. By the way, the father in this was played by Adam Baldwin, who was pretty great. And also, Gacy was pretty much a real sicko who lured young men into the depth, like hiding their bodies in the crawl space under his house and all. And he continued this bloody rampage for can't remember how long, for like a couple of years and all. But anyway, yeah, this is also a movie that's really hard to watch. I mean, Mark Holton, I thought he was a really great John Wayne Gacy. He really embodied that role really well. And Adam Baldwin as the dad was pretty good. But yeah, this is a really hard watch because what John Wayne Gacy did, yeah, that's what he did was really sickening. And yeah, I'm pretty sure he's rotting in hell right now because I mean, he was a real sicko. And I'm saying I'm really glad that John Wayne Gacy was caught because yeah, he definitely deserved death because. But anyway, as a movie itself, Gacy, I really enjoy the film, and it's also not a film that you can really watch over and over because there are some intense moments. But good performances by Mark Holton. Like either he was, I kind of already said this, but either he was great as a role, and I believe David Arquette was also in this movie too. It's been a while since I've seen it, to be honest here, but I've really still enjoyed it, and it's a pretty interesting biopic film. All right, coming in at number 4 is The Summer of Sam. Now, this movie was directed by Spike Lee, and it's set during the summer of 1977, and it's about the killer known as the Son of Sam, who keeps all of New York City on edge with a series of brutal murders. And you got like a couple of. It's not always all about the killer. It's also about there are like other surrounding this movie, like including a character named Vinny who's a unwitting almost and becomes a victim of the psychopath. And it's pretty much like it's also about like the victims as well. It's not all about the son of Sam. And believe it or not, the son of Sam is still in prison now. Like I'm surprised they didn't like put him to death, to be honest with you. But anyway, the cast in this I thought was great. Like you had the aforementioned John Leguizamo, Adrian Brody was in this, Maria Sorvino. You had Jennifer Esposito. Yeah, some really great cast members, and Spike Lee. I thought he did a pretty good job with this. Although never really felt like a Spike Lee joint, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, when Spike Lee does a movie, you could literally tell that his movie is a Spike Lee film. But this, you can't really tell if it was a Spike Lee movie or not. But overall, Spike Lee did a great job at this, and I mean, he does New York City well because, of course, he's from here. And yeah, he did a really good job with the movie, and he of course gave good performances out of the cast. And if you guys never had a chance to check out the Summer of Sam, I'd say give it a go. It's a really good movie. It is also intense to watch as well because there are some not so great moments, but the movie itself is still worth a watch. All right, speaking of Jeffrey Dahmer, my number 3rd favorite is Dahmer, which of course, like years before Jeremy Renner launched launched his big career as Hawkeye, he played famed serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer. And Jeremy Renner, it's actually one of my favorite Jeremy Renner movies because, of course, last week I did my 10 favorite Renner movies, and of course, Dahmer was number 1. I think he really played Dahmer really well. It's probably one of his most creepiest roles he's ever done, and it's probably one of his best performances, really. I mean, when Jeremy Renner does movies, he gets good performances in them, but not like over the top performances, and he gave an over the top performance as Dahmer. He was really creepy as a role, and I think he was probably better as Ross Lynch, to be honest with you. But of course, Ross Lynch was playing the younger version of Jeffrey Dahmer. But anyway, yeah, Dahmer was a really interesting movie about a really not so great psychopath like Jeffrey Dahmer, and yeah, of course, this movie also showed the relationship between Dahmer and his father, who kind of like I already said, his father was like very abusive, and I'm guessing, and that kind of led to Dahmer's like murders towards men, because if you know, Jeffrey Dahmer only killed guys. I can't ever recall if he ever killed females, but I think but it's really because when Jeffrey Dahmer was young, he had like an abusive father, and some of the men in his life wasn't all that great. So that kind of led to his murders against other guys and all. But anyway, the movie Dahmer was pretty decent, and Jeremy Renner, I should maybe then get an Oscar nomination for this because I think he probably could have gotten some sort of award recognition. But like even the people who didn't like it can't deny that Jeremy Renner was great in this movie. So. And the movie, I mean, it got okay reviews, but didn't really get the best reviews. But lots of the critics will actually agree how great he was in this movie. And yeah, if you guys haven't checked out the Dahmer movie with Jeremy Renner in it, I'd say give it a go. All right, coming in at number 2 is Munster. Now, in Dahmer, pretty much featured like Jeffrey Dahmer, of course, was a serial killer who mainly targeted just men. Now, in Munster, Elaine Warnos, of course, was like a prostitute and all, and she also killed tons of men. And I mean, Charlize Theron in Munster, she of course won her Oscar for the role. Well deserving. It's crazy how they made like a beautiful woman like Charlize Theron into a not so good looking woman like Elaine Warnos. I thought the makeup they used on Elaine was really terrific. And of course, he also had Christina Ricci was in this. The movie was directed by Patty Jenkins, who then went on to like this was actually Patty Jenkins' first film. Then she didn't end up directing another movie since till Wonder Woman came around. So wow, crazy that she didn't direct like when she did Wonder Woman. It was like after Munster, and Munster was like released in 2003, and Wonder Woman was released in 2017. So that's interesting. Way to direct a film anyway. Yeah, Charlize Theron. It's pretty much her best performance. Like of course, I just did my 10 favorite Charlize Theron movies, and Munster was of course number one. It's a really great film, and Elaine Warner, she was really sickening, and of course she went into the electric chair, and of course she of course got put to death, and but yeah, Munster really showed on who she was before she became a killer, and of course showed the kills that happened with that Elaine did, and also, if you guys ever get a chance, you can check out like a documentary about Elaine Warnos as well. I mean, she was a real sicko, and yeah. But the movie itself, Munster, was a really great love film, and if you guys never had a chance to check it out, I say give it a go. It's crazy that Patty Jenkins went from this to Wonder Woman. I mean, she goes from directing a movie about a crazy woman to a movie about a powerful woman. So great transformation for Patty Jenkins, to be honest with you. Anyway, yeah, Monsters is definitely a really good film. Alright, my number one favorite movie about a serial killer, that's going to David Fincher's masterpiece, Zodiac. It's pretty much my favorite David Fincher movie. It's really great. I mean, it's crazy that, like, unlike the killers that's talked about in these films in my list, the Zodiac killer never has been captured, and I it's crazy how like till this day, people still don't know who the Zodiac killer is, or who he is, and I mean it's a really crazy story there. And of course, it featured like investigator reporters who are like obsessed with the Zodiac killer. The cast members in this also includes the likes of Jake Gyllenhaal, Robert Downey Jr., Mark Ruffalo. Before, of course, Ruffalo and Downey Jr. joined the MCU. Anthony Edwards was in this film. Had a pretty interesting story surrounding it. Really good performances by the cast as well. Like the cast, they were all really great in their parts. And it's a really terrific movie. And they've had done like other Zodiac movies since then, but not a lot of them were really as good as the David Fincher one. And they also reuse like the Zodiac Killer's recordings, and they also I believe they also used the actual notes that the Zodiac Killer actually used, and yeah, Zodiac Killer was really sickening. Like, I mean, of course, the Zodiac Killer, he like claims victim after victim and taunts the authorities with cryptic message, cipher, and menacing phone calls and all. And like I said, no one still has no idea who the Zodiac Killer was and all. But yeah, the movie definitely David Fincher's. Like I said, it's Fincher's best work. And if you guys still never seen Zodiac by now, I'll say give it a go. I think you'll enjoy it. And anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me do the quick rundown. Number 10, Chapter 27. 9, My Friend Dahmer. 8, BTK. 7, Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. 6, Carla. 5, Gacy. 4, Summer of Sam. 3, Dahmer. 2, Munster. 1, Zodiac. Now there's a few other ones I probably could have added. Let's see. And some other ones here are, let's see, the Atlanta Child Murders. That's a really gruesome one. It featured James Earl Jones in it, by the way, so that's interesting. Citizen X, the Boston Strangler, To Catch a Killer, Perfect Sisters was pretty good. Helter Skelter, which is of course a Charles Manson film. The Snowtown Murders is a decent one. Jack the Ripper. Let's see. See No Evil, The Moors Murders was okay. The Secret Life of Jeffrey Dahmer, another Jeffrey Dahmer film. They did lots of films about Jeffrey Dahmer. The Hunt for the BTK Killer, there's that. The Honeymooner Murders there was. Let's see. The Town That Dreaded Sundown. Now there are also a couple of other movies like Texas Chainsaw and Psycho. They were actually inspired by famed serial killer Ed Gein, but they're not really based on him, so that's kind of why you don't see Texas Chainsaw or Psycho on this list. Ed Gein, he was the sick one of them all. Like, believe it or not, Ed Gein actually murdered his victims and used their like bodies and stuff like that as furniture. Like, he was, out of all the serial killers, Ed Gein was definitely the worst. And they also did a movie about him as well. And yeah, some interesting movies about serial killers around. And yeah, lots of these movies are pretty intense to watch, but they're still pretty decent. Anyway, let me leave you guys. What's your favorite true story movies about real life serial killers? Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This here is Tom Sells signing off.